Last night in Las Vegas was nothing short of a basketball earthquake. If you missed the Fever versus Aces clash, you didn't just skip a game. You skipped pure chaos under the bright desert lights. We're talking drama, mind-bending tactics, wild momentum swings, and the kind of shock that makes the whole league look over its shoulder at Indiana. Buckle up, because what went down might change everything. And yes, Becky Hammond had her own fiery prediction before the ball even touched the court. She was bold, telling the world the real Las Vegas Aces were about to show up, promising nothing less than a whole different beast. From the very first whistle, the vibe was crystal clear. Indiana came to flip the script. And if that was supposed to be the real Aces, then the rest of the league better start sweating, because Vegas looked shaken, scattered, and straight up rattled. What we saw was desperation on full display. Players crashing like it was a WWE pay-per-view, over-the-top flops that would make even soccer stars blush, and elbows flying around like free samples at a festival. The wild part? After all that chaos, none of it was enough. The Aces still couldn't close the deal. If you came for clean basketball, you only got bits and pieces. But if you were hungry for absolute mayhem, this was an all-you-can-eat buffet. And right in the center of it all, Lexie Mitchell. She didn't just hoop. She looked possessed, like her mission was to humiliate every single player in a Vegas jersey. Numbers don't lie, 34 points in 34 ruthless minutes. Forget buckets per minute. What we just witnessed was a full-blown scoring storm. The court was stacked with MVPs, championship coaches pacing the sidelines, yet none of that mattered. Lexie played like she was back in an empty gym, casually pulling from deep, gliding past double teams, finishing fearless at the rim, and even dropping fadeaways that froze the defense. The Aces had no counter, no solution, nothing. At one point, the energy in the arena felt desperate. Fans practically pleading for someone to step up and stop her. But Lexie wasn't having it. She was on a personal mission, and she carried it all the way through. Panic set in across Las Vegas. The big question hanging all season, are the Fever the real deal or just hype? Finally got its answer. Indiana stormed in like owners of the building, ripping the heart out of the defending champs. For the first time in a long time, the Aces looked shaken, vulnerable, and visibly afraid. By the closing minutes, all the swagger was gone. The once electric Vegas crowd had fallen silent, and the Aces were out of options. Straight up, the aura that used to surround them is slipping away fast. For months, teams approached Las Vegas with visible fear, almost beaten before the game even started. But after Indiana ripped through their weak spots, the narrative completely shifted. The new headline practically writes itself. The Fever just became the boogeyman. And let's talk about the dirty plays. Shout out to Jenny on Twitter and Tatter Saints on TikTok, because those clips last night told the story better than the box score. Lexie Hull was eating elbows and blindsided by screens that looked like they belonged in a wrestling match, not a basketball game. Nearly every possession was borderline chaos. Vegas was running illegal screens like it was a training camp tutorial, and the refs swallowed the whistle. Even Aya Wilson, usually the face of composure, got caught flopping not once but twice, arms flailing like she was auditioning for theater. It was pure comedy. Instead of leaning on their insane talent, the Aces went for shortcuts and sketchy tactics. The game turned ugly, but Indiana didn't bite. They just pushed back harder. Indiana never blinked. They absorbed every hit, every cheap shot, and still kept their focus razor sharp. And here's the real takeaway. Vegas' so-called dominance is no longer automatic. The fear factor is gone. Other teams are finally realizing that if you force the Aces to play straight-up, physical basketball, the cracks start to show. The blueprint has officially been printed. Ignore the flops, block out the mind games, stay aggressive, and let your scorers feast. For the Fever, this wasn't just another win. This was an arrival moment. No more young and promising label. They're here, and they're dangerous. Every team across the league has to respect that now. Lexie Mitchell proved she can share the floor with MVPs and still walk away looking like the deadliest scorer in the building. Say what you want about Indiana's roster, but they just sent a loud, clear message to the entire WNBA. The Aces. They've got some serious soul-searching ahead, because that unbeatable aura they carried fizzled out fast. A'ja Wilson and the crew got taken out of their game. If Vegas does rethink the attitude and clean up the dirty plays, they're not repeating Plain and simple. But the story here is the Indiana Fever. They just put the league on notice. If teams weren't scared before, they should be now. Say hello to the new heavyweight on the block. The boogeyman is real and his name is Indiana Fever. But for now, this is how they was playing. This is how they was playing. Let's see. Lexie Hull was getting pushed all game. Look at that. Like elbowed push. But guess who fell? That's an illegal screen. She leans into Lexie Hull, pushes her. Look at this. Pushes Lexie Hull down. Like I can't take this crap. I'm sick of watching it over and over. That's a moving screen. And then pushes her. Again. Look at that. You can't do that. They didn't call any. This is the only one they called a foul. She straight pushed Kelsey Mitchell into Asia Wilson. Like that's bullcrap. That's not basketball. And then this pathetic foul to start the game off with. But ball never lies. I love when karma happens. Yeah, miss your free throw. And then, here we go. Check this out. Another foul call. Check this out. Aya Wilson comes swinging her elbows at Powers, who's literally just holding her ground. And somehow the whistle blows against Powers. Make it make sense. Let's run it back. This is Wilson doing the whole "I'm so big and bad" routine, but the reality? Nobody even touched her. Sure, she finished a layup, but acting like it was some unstoppable moment? Nah, not that impressive. Now flip it. Aaliyah Boston makes a move, fights through contact, swings her elbows just like Wilson, and drains the shot. But because she's wearing an Indiana jersey, suddenly she doesn't get the same treatment. Double standards on full display. Caitlin Clark even called it out in real time, Flop City. And here's where it gets worse. Wilson keeps going back to the well, trying to flop her way into calls, throwing her arms around like she's auditioning for drama class. Nobody touched her. Zero contact. Yet the whistles keep favoring her. But the most ridiculous moment of the night? Kelsey Mitchell drives hard for a layup, and Wilson throws up her lip like she got destroyed. The refs stop the game, review it in slow motion, and treat it like a federal investigation. Meanwhile, every time a Fever player gets hacked, it's play on, no microscope, no replay, no technical. The double standard is insane, and everyone watching could see it. Man, this is where it got straight up laughable. First, the refs hit Kelsey Mitchell with a technical, then turn around and tag her with a foul on the very next play. Are you kidding me? And it didn't stop there. Michaela Timpson gets whistled for a foul that barely existed. Meanwhile, Becky Hammon is out there barking from the sidelines. Like, sit down, coach. Your squad is getting cooked. Now watch this, another screen from Aya Wilson. Except no, that's not a screen, that's a leg stick out special. You can't just throw your foot into a defender's path like that. But the refs reward it with another call. Saved again. Absolute nonsense. And shout out to Aaliyah Boston, because through all this chaos, she still locked in on defense and kept making plays. But then, the whistles bailed Vegas out again. Another phantom foul. And then came the worst call of the night. They called a jump ball on a play where nobody even had possession. Seriously? Boston clearly got position, and if anything, it should have been an over-the-back foul. But no, jump ball. Total joke. And let's be real, they don't want to talk about Aya Wilson clanking layup after layup after layup. But we saw it. Everybody saw it. No whistle can cover up bricks. Everybody wants to clown Caitlin Clark for missing a deep three with defenders crashing into her legs. But nobody's talking about Aya Wilson bricking point-blank layups all night. In a playoff game. 6 for 22. That's supposed to be your MVP? Come on now. Next time a Caitlin Clark hater runs their mouth, just remind them of that stat line. And big shout out to my guy Latter-day Saints Man on TikTok. If you're on there, go check him out. Dude's been dropping heat breaking down these games, and last night he was spot on. Because let's keep it real, Caitlin called it before anyone else. She straight up said the flopping was out of control, and she wasn't lying. Last night was Flop City, coast to coast. Players throwing themselves on the floor, arms flying, heads snapping back like they're auditioning for Hollywood. And the worst part? The refs let it slide. Over and over again. This wasn't playoff basketball, it was a flop fest. Straight up embarrassing. And fans know it, players know it, the whole league knows it. So the question is, when's it going to stop? When are the officials finally going to step up, call the game the right way, and stop rewarding this nonsense? Because until they do, we're not watching basketball, we're watching a bad drama series. Missed calls happen, bad whistles happen, but this level of flopping? Nah, man, it's gone completely off the rails. The refs are letting it slide, and because of that, players know they can get away with anything. Grab somebody, shove them, throw an elbow, then hit the deck like your career depends on it. It's become a full-on strategy. And it's not even slick anymore. Everyone in the building can see it. How's that supposed to be fair to the teams that are out there grinding, playing straight-up basketball, and actually earning their buckets? And now let's talk about Aya Wilson for a second. The 4-time MVP, yeah, for trophies. But what did we actually see last night? Missed layups like it was a Sunday pickup run at the local rec center. 6 for 22 in a playoff game? That's not MVP-level basketball. And the question becomes, how do you hold that crown, rack up those awards, but come out this flat when it matters most? What league are we even watching? Don't get it twisted. Nobody's saying Aya isn't talented. She's a superstar, no doubt. But sometimes the performance just doesn't line up with the accolades, and last night was one of those moments. Watching her brick point-blank shots that should be automatic was flat-out painful. For a player with that resume, that spotlight, and that skill set, it's a tough look, tough to watch, and even tougher to defend. And here's the bigger picture. What does it mean when the league's best can't deliver on the biggest stage? Honestly, it makes you question whether the refs even care about fairness anymore, or if this is just turned into entertainment theater instead of basketball. Because when dirty plays keep sliding under the radar and the flopping reaches WWE levels, you have to ask, where does the WNBA go from here? I'm calling it out right now. Something has to change. The refs need to step up and hold players accountable. The league needs to protect real basketball, not let it crumble into a circus act. Because if it stays like this, fans will start checking out, and players who actually want to hoop, who want to compete the right way, are going to lose their minds with frustration. Caitlin Clark saw it. We all saw it. Every replay, every clip, it was obvious. So the real question is, how long before the league finally does something about it? But hey, I want to hear from y'all too. Do you think this dirty play crossed the line? Was last night just playoff physicality? Or are we watching the game get hijacked by nonsense? Drop your thoughts, because no cap, Vegas was not playing clean basketball. Not even close. Man, if you caught that game, you know it was pure chaos from start to finish. There was grabbing, elbows flying, dramatic flops, and a whole lot of messy action. But make no mistake, we're heading back to Indiana with confidence. The Fever came in locked, loaded, and ready to fight without backing down for even a second. That determination deserves real respect. They stayed sharp, stood tall, and played with smart discipline. On the flip side, the opposition relied on cheap tricks and dirty plays, trying everything to throw the Fever off. So, tell me, are you sick of seeing those foul tactics? Should the league finally step up and put a stop to it? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear from the real fans who pay attention. At the end of the day, the truth is right in front of us. The chance to change the narrative is right here, right now. People need to stop acting like the Las Vegas Aces are this untouchable force that nobody can beat. They're not perfect, not even close. This team has cracks, they've got weaknesses, and if the Fever come in aggressive, disciplined, and locked into their game plan, the sweep is absolutely on the table. 2. Zip is sitting right there for the taking. Stephanie White has to keep those adjustments sharp and ready. Aaliyah Boston, it's time to unleash full beast mode and set the tone. Kelsey Mitchell, just keep being that spark plug you've been all season. And honestly, if just 2 more players step up big, that's the complete formula. Meanwhile, Vegas is leaning way too heavily on Aya Wilson. Make her grind on every single possession, wear her down mentally and physically, and the so-called champs will fold faster than anyone expects. This isn't just another game, it's our statement moment. Indiana has a chance to flip the entire playoff picture on its head. So let's stay locked in, stay hungry, and take this fight back home to finish the job. The Fever have everything it takes to send Vegas packing and prove the doubters wrong once and for all. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Fever are ready to shock the league and sweep the Aces out of these playoffs? Drop your predictions, hot takes, and energy down in the comments. Hit that like button if you're riding with the Fever, share this with another fan who needs to feel the hype, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Stay proud, stay loud, because this is Indiana's time.